Good evening, everybody. Welcome you all this evening for this self-driven activity organized by Department of Aeronautical Engineering and JS Innovation Club on the topic incubation management. This uh, session will deal with the importance of incubation cell in an institution. Uh, so it will be equally important for the students as well as the faculty of institution to understand how they can showcase their idea, how they can convert their idea into innovation, and that platform is much possible by an incubation cell. Uh, with the guidance of our managing director, Dr. M. Regina Jeppiaar, and the valuable guidance of our principal, Dr. V. Natarajan, and with the support of my head of department, Mr. D. Tanigavel Murugan, I welcome all the dear participants who have joined this evening. And also I welcome all the faculty of Jeppiaar Engineering College, heads of department, students to this session. With us, we have today, this evening, Mr.G.C.Jagan. He is the assistant professor in Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering. Also, he is the convener of JS Innovation Club. He is also the innovation ambassador uh, of Institution Innovation Council, Ministry of Education, Government of India. He has already undergone his training in the intermediate level, also in the advanced level. Um, he is expert in pre-incubation incubation management. Today he will be guiding us about incubation management. So I welcome Mr. G.C. Jagan. Sir, you can take over the session.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
So
Thank
thank
you,
you,
Hastings,
Hastings,
sir,
sir,
for
for
giving
giving
this
this opportunity.
opportunity.
So very good morning to one and all present here. So is my voice audible, sir? Okay. Thank you. So before going into incubation management, so our government of India, headed by our honorable Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi, and have initiated this Institution Innovation Council. So the main vision of this program is to create innovation among the student community as well as faculty. But the main motto is to make the coming generation, instead of seeking job, so they want to build a community who can offer job to others. The main motto of the main vision of our Prime Minister as well as now Chief Minister. Our Chief Minister also initiated a program called as Non-Mudalvan Scheme, right? So it is also the continuation of the scheme initiated by our Prime Minister. The main vision of this program is to create people who can offer a job to others instead of job seekers. So they want to create the job offers. Right? So in the part of that vision, so they have initiated to create Institution Innovation Council. So under MIC, so under Ministry of Education. So Ministry of Education, they have innovation cell. In short form, it's called as MIC. So under MIC, so they are instructed all the higher education institution to constitute an institution innovation council. Right. The main objective of this institution innovation council is to create a vibrant local innovation ecosystem. Right, and so this will support more startup and entrepreneurship mechanism in higher education institution. Right, and a part of this, they also are now introduced adult ranking of institution based only on innovation achievement. But based on the innovation achievement by the higher education institution, they are giving rankings. And so the main other main objective is also to develop better cognitive ability among technology students. Right? And the function of IIC, so mostly all of you are aware of it, it is to conduct various innovation and entrepreneurship related activities prescribed by the Ministry of Education Innovation Cell. So they have started this initiative some 2-3 years back. So because of this COVID outbreak, so so there is a lag in implementation in most of the institutions. So maybe from next academic year, so we will have more hand-on session to promote innovation, entrepreneurship, startup, and in the importance of intellectual property right, and so on. Right? Uh, so as a, so here in MIC, so they have framed certain rules. So based on that, each institution is expected to conduct more innovation and entrepreneurship related activities. And MIC itself, they are identifying and they are rewarding best innovation, best innovation, and also periodically they are conducting a program in which the entrepreneurs they share their success stories, and as per their instruction, each institution is expected to conduct a workshop, seminar, then more programs, so which will help the students to improve their innovation skills. So the benefits of IIC, so they are each year they are fine tuning their methodology to promote innovation among students as well as faculty. So they are conducting more programs, they are conducting more competitions, and they are offering huge prize monies these days. And they also creating opportunity to meet the business leaders and what are the so, so the experts, top experts from various academic institutions. And they are also offering opportunities to nurture and develop prototype, and uh, so they also creating opportunity to get in contact with the mentors from various top industries. So as a part of this, so they are offering so many things, like main and the popular one is hackathon. Most of you are aware of that. So in hackathon, so they have Smart India Hackathon, Singapore India Hackathon, Drug Discovery Hackathon, and so on. So in that, the Smart India Hackathon is a very popular one, right? So they are, so in each year they are conducting this Smart India Hackathon in software and hardware edition. So when they have initiated this program, so only government organizations, they have posted their problem statement, and the students are asked to find solution or developing prototype for the problem statement given. Now it is expanded. So so many private as well as government organizations, they are posting their problem statement, and based on the problem statement, they have so many nodal centers allocated. So initial screening will be done from the presentation they have posted in the portal. Then in the grand finale, so they have to continuously code and develop a prototype in 36 hours. And that will be evaluated by expert in each nodal center and each problem statement. So the number of problem statements are given this time. For each problem statement, the first prize is 1 lakh, second prize 50,000, and the third 25,000. So it is a very good opportunity for student community to improve their what design thinking and developing prototype. Right. Then so they have again framed national innovation and startup policy 2019. So they have prescribed certain policies to be implemented in higher education institution. They also ask all higher education institution, those who have adopted NISP 2019, to frame their own policies to promote startup innovation and startup among students. Then they have Yukti portal 2.0, now Yukti 2.0. In this portal, students as well as faculty, so they can register or post their ideas in Yukti portal. So that will be evaluated and mentored by industry as well as academic experts. So they help the students to fine tune their ideas and develop a successful prototype. So they can register themselves in Yukti portal. They can create their own login with their college name, as well as college itself. They can create their own portal and they can post ideas. So which will be evaluated as well as mentored by experts. Then they have Kabila program, so in which so they are sponsoring the faculty as well as students in institution to file as well as publish a patent. Then based on the contribution from all these innovation aspects, so they are ranking the institution based only on innovation in ARIA rank. Right. So they have four themes in innovation. So they have design thinking and innovation, IPR and technology transfer, pre-incubation, incubation and management, then entrepreneurship development program. So before going into what design thinking and innovation, so we have to differentiate between what discovery, invention and innovation. So most of us are aware of discovery and invention. Okay, so discovery is so the one which already existing. So someone they are exposing it for the first time, but the thing is already available. So invention means so finding something new for the first time. We call it as invention, right? So in the invented thing, so applying technology. So if you are if you are finding solution by a new method using technology, then we call it as innovation. So innovation we can also define as innovation as invention plus commercialization. So in already existing problem, if you are using technology, if you find the solution for that, and if you can able to commercialize it, then we can call that as innovation. So many examples you can find nowadays using technology, or last few years so we have so many innovation in all areas, right? So in food delivery, you can see the apps, right? So with the technology, so they are finding a new solution. So door delivery, which is already available. So in those days, the restaurants themselves delivered to their customers, right? But now someone using the app, so they have centralized, they have integrated, they have registered so many restaurants and they have centralized. So they become a success. Then you have a call taxi booking, Ola. You can find so many examples. So in that process, so we have different stages. So first one, so we have to clearly understand the challenge, for which problem we have to find solution. So we are going to find the solution for the problem which is already existing, and we are using technology. We are finding new solution for that. So we have to clearly develop a deep understanding about the challenge that we call as empathize. then we have to clearly define the problem. We have to clearly define the problem, and for that problem, so we have to develop different ideas, right? So we have to create so many ideas. So we have to brainstorm it. We have to fine tune our idea, and we have to convert our idea into prototype, right? So after developing our idea, so applying the technology already available, and so we have to apply the design aspects, and we have to develop a prototype. Then we have to engage in continuous testing of the prototype we have developed. We have to fine tune it. We have to continuously test it, and we have to improve our design. And finally, we have to create a successful prototype, so which can be converted into a startup. So in this, we have a distinct difference between entrepreneur and businessman. So businessman, we already know it. So who start business on old concept, like small grocery shop, or even what a stationery store. So we call it as a business. So entrepreneur means, so in the existing uh, 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 existing a problem. So with the technology, so we are finding new solution. We call it as entrepreneur. Like the call taxi business is available in last decade, right? Now, so they have applied the new technology, and they have developed app called as Ola, where they can easily book uh, the call taxi, and they can track. So they have so many advantages. So the call taxi business, which was already available. So they have applied the technology. They have developed an innovative idea using technology, and they have developed Ola. So this we call as entrepreneurship. So businessman is a person who start a business in old concept. So in entrepreneurship, so we have innovation. Innovation is finding new things. So the growth will be big, and we have using technology, and we are increasing this venture capital. But as like in business, here also we have several risks, right? So a successful entrepreneur is the one who is able to mitigate and manages the risk and achieve success. So even if we have so many risks, so even after innovation and finding new solution, if we stop with that, then we cannot sustain in the market. So once you innovate something, then parallelly we will have so many competitors, right? If first Ola came, then we have so many other call taxi booking apps nowadays, like Ola. Then we have some more apps. I don't remember the name, right? So once, so they have developed Ola app for booking only cab. Then someone developed app for booking two-wheelers, right? So sharing two-wheelers, no one would have imagined that time. So someone innovated a new idea, so the Rapido came. So now from Rapido, so they have taken that innovation, they have implemented in Ola and other apps as well now, right? So we have to continuously, we have to update ourselves to sustain in the market, to become a successful entrepreneur, right? Once we achieve something, if we stay in that, then we cannot sustain in the market. So we have so many risks in different aspects. We have customer, we have to motivate the customer. So we have to get the confidence from the customer need to accept the product first, right? So we have to commit towards a customer. If he is not accepting it, then we cannot sustain in the market. So market competition is huge. Then if you develop some product, so it should be feasible to sustain in the product and the growth. So and start a startup, so we have different stages. So we already know, right? First initial stage is we have to develop an idea. Right? The problem may be big, or problem may be a very small one, right? So we have to develop an idea uh, 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 using technology to provide new solution for that. Right? Then from that we have to develop a prototype. Then we have to convert the prototype into product. Then we have to uh, use the market, right? So if once it is successfully launched in market, then it becomes an enterprise. So these are the stages of a startup, from idea to enterprise. So from idea to enterprise, so it is not always possible to set up an enterprise and develop your prototype, test your prototype, then market it. So it is not always easy. So to help someone to start an enterprise, so the intermediate one is we call as incubation. Intermediate one is called as incubation. So incubation is the facility created in educational institution or private entities. So they are the facility created to help the innovators to develop their prototype, to test it. Even the incubators are used help them to market it, right? So as incubator is a collaborative program designed to help new startup to succeed. So they help the entrepreneurs to solve some problems commonly associated with running a startup by mainly providing the workspace, seed in some cases, seed funding, then mentoring, training, technology support. So they help the innovators to develop their prototype. So the key components in planning an incubator. So we have to first study the feasibility. So we have to thoroughly, before setting up an incubator in institution or in private entities. So we have to thoroughly do a study, feasibility study, and we have to plan it. So pre-feasibility study, understanding the market need. So just like that, we cannot start a market. Sorry, the incubator. So we have to thoroughly study the market need. Accordingly, we have to set up a place. So we have to provide technological support. So all these we have to study thoroughly. Then we have to plan. We have to clearly define a vision and mission of the incubator, and we have to design a sustainable business model. Then we have to develop a proper infrastructure. So all these coming under business planning. Then we have to frame incubator policies. You have to incubator policies. So you have to run the incubator like an industry, even though it may be the part of the institution. So it should be run separately. It should be run separately like an industry. So we have to clearly frame. We have to do the business planning. Before that, we have to do the feasibility study planning. After that, we have to clearly frame incubator policies, like entry, the selection criteria of the office bearers, the exit graduation policies. Like if someone is studying, if they are part of the incubators, so after their graduation, so how they are going to continue with the incubator. All these policies you have to clearly frame it. Then the governance and management, like the industries, right? So the initial task of creating an incubator team. So before setting up the team, so we have to reach a clear consensus on the basic concept for which purpose we are going to start the startup. Then once we have decided to establish an incubator, then we have to clearly set the time frame and for completing the primary work to establishing a complete what the incubator. And before setting up the incubator, we have to clearly learn about the business models, its concept, its application. So we have to learn thoroughly the business model before setting up the incubator. Then we have to secure the resources for feasibility study planning. Then we have to do the implementation of a feasibility study. So we have done the initial feasibility test, then we have to do the implementation. Then we have to decide on the study, we have to decide on the result, and we have to plan for the next phase. So before setting up the incubator, we should have a thorough knowledge. So once where we are going to set up the incubator, we should have the thorough knowledge about in which area we are going to establish the incubator, right? So before setting up the incubator, so we have to get the thorough knowledge about the incubator. So by doing online training resources, so we can do a study tour. Sorry, not incubator study tour. So we can visit the incubator already been established. So we can visit those incubator. We can study the functioning, and we can connect with a different incubator already been established, so we can attend the events organized by those incubators. And the main important one is we have to update with the emerging trends. So we have to establish incubator for the to provide support for the emerging trends, right? So we cannot set up an incubator for the outdated technologies. That we have to be very clear. So that's why before setting up an incubator, so we should have a thorough knowledge about for which purpose we are going to set up an incubator, right? So once we have decided the area for which we are going to set up an incubator, so we should gain thorough knowledge about that, right? Then the infrastructure is infrastructure is a very important one. So we cannot as a business incubator, so we cannot use our existing laboratory as incubator, right? So for pre-incubation purpose, we can use our laboratory, we can do some studies. But as a business incubator, so we have to set up in a separate dedicated infrastructure. So we have to set up infrastructure. So we have to decide the capacity of the infrastructure. So what are the facility and the services we need to offer for the infrastructure? All these we have to decide it. And who is going to finance it, whether the institution or any funding agency. All this we have to so we have to decide before setting up the incubator. Then the infrastructure, the building need to be suitable for flexible configuration. Right, as the technology grows, so it is flexible enough to upgrade it. Then the financial feasibility. So who is sponsoring it? Then how do we design our incubator? Right, so the designing the space is very much important. So when we are designing the space, it should suit for the requirement of the startup, and we have to purposefully use the space. We should not waste any space. So accordingly, we have to design the infrastructure, and it should have what the testing area. It should have the area to discuss, to create and generate idea area. So it should have. There is some criteria to. I don't want to go in that detail. There is a criteria to what design an incubator. So it should have a discussion area. It should have the technology support area, a testing area, what like fabricating something, right? It should have a space for conducting some confidential meeting. For a good business incubator, so we have to consider all these design aspects. So, so there is this, so pre-incubation versus incubation. Pre-incubation is carried to ensure good quality of teams are present to enable to build the ecosystem. So before going into what establishing incubator, so the pre-incubation, so we can form a team, so we can conduct a meeting, so we can brainstorm the team. So all this can be conducted in an existing facility in an what institution, higher education institution. But incubation, so learning from all the discussion in pre-incubation stage, so we are going to establish a new facility. So here, so the purpose of this is to reduce the chance of early stage failure in startup and provide necessary support. Then there are so many funding agencies available. The initial funding should be done by the host. Right? Only if we show some what progress, then we can claim funding from so many different what government agencies available. But the initial seed funding should be done by the host institution. So the so the so as we know that so the money is required or financing is required to establish the business incubator. So to start activities, to operate it efficiently, and the important one is to reach sustainability. Setting up incubator is not very much important, but we have to sustain that in emerging technologies. So as we know that in last decade, the growth of technology, we can see that. So with the growth in technology, with the competition in the market, so we have to sustain it. For that, we have to periodically upgrade our facility, right? Then only we can able to sustain in the market. Uh, so we have so many expenses so pre-operating expenses. So setting up the physical facility, we have to spend it to purchase equipment, to recruit human resources. Then because as like other industry, we have general expenditure, and we have to reserve some money for emergency. So we have to consider all these aspects before setting up a business incubator. In pre-incubation stage, we can set up in our existing laboratories. As a business incubator, we have to start in a new building, new infrastructure, and we have to frame new policies. So we have to run like an separate like business unit. As like an office, so incubator also need a separate what incubator manager, a training executive, a technology manager, a financial manager, service manager, plus some other resource persons to support other clients, right? So here the point is, if you have a incubator in higher education institution, the working faculty cannot be a full-time employee in the incubator. So that is the point. So we have to remember here. So if we are setting up a separate incubator to it become a successful incubation unit, so we should have a separate employees like incubation manager, training executive, technology manager, financial manager, service manager, etc. Right. So we cannot give additional workload to the existing faculties. right? Then we cannot build a successful incubation unit, right? So key incubator skills required, as we already know it. So in the administration, we should have a good financial team, legal team, HR team, then IT, information technology, right, to cope up with the current technology. So for facilities, we have a facility management and ICT infrastructure. And then we have provision for quality business development service to clients. So we have to provide the quality business development service to the clients. Then we should have a provision to marketing. So marketing is the key factor to make a successful incubation unit. Then we have a stakeholder management. Then we have a planning, reporting, monitoring, and evaluation team. So we have to periodically evaluate the working of the incubation unit, right? So otherwise we cannot sustain it. So we cannot take our incubation unit forward. So the incubator should provide the mentoring in both technology and business to the clients. Then legal support for intellectual property and regulatory. Then so the incubation unit should continuously do the market research and the business service. Then we have to provide human resource to the clients. Then financial management, industrial connects, access to funding, and we have to scale up networking. So all these other things need to the incubator need to provide. So I don't want to take it too long. So I want to close this. So the main point I want to emphasize is, so the government of India have initiated, and they are expecting the student community to do a lot of innovation, and they come up with a good startup. So for that, they are doing a lot of programs. First, we should create awareness. As a faculty, we should create awareness among students. So what are the schemes available? There's a lot of funding support is there. Even with the continuation of that initiative, the government of Tamil Nadu also initiated now, right? So as a part of that, for final year, so they have included one subject to improve their design thinking, right? So initially, when they have started in early 2019, right? So only few institutions they have effectively what implemented this. So now the MIC, they are fine tuning it. So they want all the institutions to effectively implement this in higher education institution, and they really want to conduct hands-on programs. They want to promote innovation, or they want to create a vibrant ecosystem, innovation ecosystem in all what higher education institutions, so that so India, so they want to make India to be a superpower, right? So to convert an idea into a startup, so this incubation unit is very helpful. So it is not always possible to convert innovation into startup by themselves, or by setting up a separate unit by themselves. So using incubation, or even by sitting in home, they can start a startup, right? So they need not be expert in technology, but they should aware what are the technologies available, how we can use that technology, right? Those who are doing innovation, they are suggesting solution need not be good in technology, but they should aware of the technology available to support that the entrepreneur. So we have incubation units available. There are a lot of outsourcings are there to support with the technology. Right. So with this, I want to conclude this. So if you have any queries, you can ask it. Question, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for the presentation. Participants, if you have any questions, you can ask our resource person. He will facilitate you with an answer.
So I understand that in weekend, in the late evening, it is not very easy to listen lectures. But so we will try our maximum to conduct hands-on events from next academic year in our college. Right, we'll try to bring so many experts from industries to interact with the students and to give a lot of hands-on training to improve design thinking, to promote innovation, and so on.
Participants, any questions? I think there are no questions, sir, from the participants.
Okay, so I thank Keston sir from Aero Department and our college management for giving this opportunity to give some points about innovation and incubation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for accepting our